During the past 2 years, I have discovered that one of the few ways that I enjoy contemporary romance is through cowboy romance, Western romance. And I have read quite a few books and quite a few series, both series that are more mainstream, the series that people talk about when they mention cowboy romance. And I've also read a couple more indie books that aren't as well known, and I want to go through some of them. These are going to be mostly newer series. I haven't read any like older ones because, like I said, I quite recently discovered this genre myself, and I'm going to talk about whether or not I recommend them, where I think you should start, and also give you some recommendations of if you have read any of these that people talk about, like the initial series that people talk about, you know, the Lyla Sages and the Elsie Silvers of it all. Where do I recommend you to venture next? Like, what could be some recommendations? And I'm also going to end this with talking about what's on my TBR when it comes to cowboy romances. What are the books that I'm looking to read next? I also want to start with talking about a series that I sometimes see people mention as cowboy romance that I actually do not think is cowboy romance. Can we start with that? Let's start with this. This is the Rose Hill series by Elsie Silver. And this is Wild Love, Wild Eyes, Wild Side, and Wild Card. This is a completed 4-part series. These are all like standalone, somewhat interconnected books. This is not cowboy romance. And I think the reason why people say or put these as cowboy romance is because Elsie Silver has written cowboy romance, but these are not that. I will say I gave the first book a 3-star, I gave the second book a 5-star, and the second book is the one that is closest to being a cowboy romance, because at least the male like love interest in this one is a horse trainer, and he lives on a somewhat farm, lives on land with horses at least, but the female main character is a pop star. And then I gave the second 2 books a 4-star. So this is small town romance with somewhat ranch adjacent things, but this is not cowboy romance. This is not Elsie Silver's cowboy romance. I see it sometimes mentioned as it, but it's great. I like it. I really do like it. But again, I like the second book the most, the one that is closest to being cowboy romance. Also, it's orange and it's matching me. It's a nice series. I do enjoy it, but it's not cowboy romance. I think for me, with cowboy romance, the reason why I like that one is because my personal favorite genre is fantasy. And I think the reason why I like cowboy romance so much is because it is so unlike any living experience that I will ever have. Again, I live in Texas, but I'm Swedish. I'm actually like, we are planning to move out of Texas soon. We're going to move back to Europe. Even though have lived in Texas for 4 years, I am never gonna have, and I'm never gonna be close to having or ever even seeing or experiencing the cowboy experience. So for me, it's kind of fantasy. I'm just saying, for me, this is a genre of contemporary romance that is still taking part in the world that I'm living in even the country that I'm living in, that is just very far from the experience that I'm having with life. Also, I am kind of dreaming of just, you know, moving out on the countryside and just living my best life outside of a city. Can you tell I'm done with cities? The cowboy series that I have read 2 parts of by Elsie Silver is Heartless and Flawless. There are more parts to this series, but this is more cowboy. This is, what are these actually called? It's the Eaton brothers. So the first book is about a brother that's in the rodeo circle, and the second book is about a brother. He's the one that's dating his his nanny. So he is a single dad. This is cowboy ranchers romance, and I really do enjoy it. I definitely think that you could start here. You could start with this series by Elsie Silver, but I would actually recommend starting with another series. I think I gave both of these books a 4-star. They're very entertaining. They're definitely cowboy romance. But what this one has against it, and why I would recommend starting with another series, is that Elsie Silver has a tendency of writing thick books. And if you don't know if this is going to be for you, I would recommend starting somewhere else. I honestly don't even know how many people I have recommended to start with this series by Lyla Sage. I think this is the first series that Lyla Sage actually has written. What is this actually called? This is the Rebel Blue Ranch. It is 4 books, and this is taken part on a ranch. This is ranchers and cowboys, and it's definitely that life. This is very much cowboy romance, and it's thinner. Lyla Sage has a tendency of writing thinner books. So if you're gonna start with cowboy romance, start here. It's thinner books, it's easy to go through, and if you end up not liking it, you didn't overcommit with a lot of pages. So the first book is the Done and Dusted. It's great. This is the first one, right? Yes, this is the first one. So she's a horseback rider and she comes back to her hometown after being out competing, and it is a romance between her and her brother's best friend. Honestly, these books are really great. I gave the Lost and Lassoed a 5-star. This is kind of like, I don't want to say enemies to lovers, but it's definitely a heavy dislike to lovers. It's just tension, and I love Teddy, this female character. She's the best, and it's the older brother. That book was great. I enjoyed this entire series, if I'm gonna be honest. I thought it was great. And the new series that Lyla Sage is writing, it's a paranormal, and it's taken part in a town that is close to Meadowlark, and it is there is some of these characters do show up in that book, and I just read that one and I was like, oh, look at that. It's some old friends. It's some old friends. So I definitely recommend that series as well. Another series that is pretty popular, that is also a cowboy series, who is by Paisley Hope. This is also a great series. I have 4 of the books here. I think the 5th one is coming out soon. What I will say about this one is that not all of these are super cowboy themed. Not all of these books are cowboy themed, but they are taking part around a ranch and around ranchers, but not all of them are heavy on the cowboy theming. I'm pretty sure the first one is Holding the Reins, and this is again a girl. She's coming back. Cecilia Cece Ashby is finally escaping the toxic relationship that has come to blah blah blah. She's coming home to her hometown in Kentucky and her family's horse ranch, and this is also her and her brother's best friend, if I'm not totally mistaken, but he is a sports star and she is a rancher's daughter. So this one is almost, it's tying together rancher life with small town romance, and like I said, not all of these books are super heavy on the cowboy theming. So if you just want to have a dash of it, this might be for you. But I also will say Paisley Hope writes very heavy on the smut. Even too heavy for me. Paisley Hope has a really good way of writing romance. She has a really good way of writing feelings in a very believable way, and I really enjoy these books. But the reason why I've never given any of them 5 stars is because I think sometimes she relies a little bit too much on the smut, and I do enjoy a book that has some smut, but I do think that sometimes she could have like maybe 1 or 2 chapters less than what we have here. That's what I would say. So this is a little less known, and this is where I would recommend you going. If you have read Elsie Silver's, if you have read Lyla Sage, I would say maybe try Paisley Hope. Or I would recommend going with, I think it's Jessica Peterson. Yeah, Jessica Peterson. This series came out, I think I bought this year. I'm pretty sure this one came out early this year. The first book is called Cash. You can see it's the front is clearly inspired by Lyla Sage. I really enjoyed this one. I think the 4th book is literally coming out in a couple of days as I'm filming this. So the 4th book is out now. Again, I will leave a link to all of these things down below if you're wondering, like a little, maybe bookmark this page and see like what cowboy romances could be for you. This is very, again, like this one, very themed around cowboys. This is taking place in, if I'm not mistaken, this is actually taking place in Hill Country, Texas. Again, I'm in Texas right now. And this is a ranch, 2 neighboring ranches, and one of them is a bunch of brothers that are orphaned, and one of them is a daughter that returns after her dad has passed the ranch to her in inheritance. And there is this feud between these 2 in the first book, and then the other books are following the other brothers on the ranch. I really like this. The first book I absolutely devoured. The second book was so great. The first and the second book, absolutely loved them. The third book, less my favorite because it was a little bit heavy on 2 single parents meeting each other, and I thought it was a little bit too heavy on the child thing. Again, I am 41 years old, about to turn 42. I am child-free by choice. I don't like it being so heavy on the kids stuff in the book because, again, that's a life I chose to not live. But other than that, I still thought it was great. The 4th book is just coming out now, and it is about the 4th. And I think that is about... Oh, I know what it's about, but I'm not going to tell you. But it's about a trope that I'm not exactly super excited about either. So we will see how I feel about that one. I will definitely be getting it. I don't know if it's going to be 5 parts. I think there is a 5th brother as well. There's a bunch of brothers. I think there might be a 5th book as well, but I definitely would say if you are like, what am I gonna do now that I've read Elsie Silver and Lyla Sage? This is the direction I would go ahead like into Paisley Hope or Jessica Peterson. Definitely pretty heavy on the Western romance, great books, several books in a series, something to dive into. Definitely very bingeable. Now I want to talk about a couple of books where I have only read the first book in a series, and I want to let you know if I am continuing with the series and if I enjoyed it and what I think about it. And the first one is actually going to be, I have it here, this is Huckleberry Hill by Emma Slate. And I am pretty sure that there's at least one more, because I saw there's a book that's called Lavender Lake by same author, same like town. So this the town is called Huckleberry Hill. This is about a girl that is a rancher's daughter, and she also escapes from a relationship, ends in a bad way. She runs away back to her father's ranch to just lick her wounds, and there she meets her dad's new ranch hand, which is Declan. I just read this book. I thought this was a really sweet, just opening up yourself again for love, and just realizing that there might be bad men out there, but there might also be good men out there. And it was really sweet, and the feelings were really cute, and it was very believable, and I did enjoy this one, and I will continue the series and read the next one as well. Also, one that I really did enjoy, that I'm definitely reading the next one. I actually have it downloaded on my Kindle, and I am planning to read it maybe when I'm traveling back to Sweden over Christmas, and that is by Lyla Dawes. The first book is called Redemption. I'll putting it here somewhere. I'll put up the second book as well. I don't remember what that one is called, but it just came out, and these are available on Kindle Unlimited. I don't know if this one is. It might be. A bunch of these books are available on Kindle Unlimited. Definitely check out. I know that Paisley Hope is not, and I'm pretty sure that Lyla Sage and Elsie Silver is not either, but these from Lyla Dawes, I'm pretty sure they're available on Kindle Unlimited, because I do have, because I have the other one downloaded. The first one is I will tell you the plot, and you can decide whether or not you like it. So this is taking part on a farm. This is about a girl. She lost her mom when she was younger. This is about, I think it's 3 or 4 sisters. So they lost their mom when they were younger. It was a drunken teen driver that accidentally killed their mom. He went to prison, and they're left with their dad, and on their dad's ranch. Their dad passes away, and the guy that went to prison comes back to the house, and it turns out that their dad has been visiting him in prison this entire time when he's been there, never told the daughters, and they have made peace. The guy that accidentally killed their mom and the dad, they have made peace. They've become really good friends. He comes out after prison, realizing that between the short time he saw the dad the last time and coming out from prison, the dad passed away. He comes back to visit after. Of course, the daughters hate him for obvious reasons, and they are left trying to get this struggling ranch to work now that dad has passed away. And it's a really good book for me. I mean, is this the best writing you're ever going to notice? No. It is not. But for me, I love the book because it was about something that was very true, like very near and dear to my heart, about forgiveness and about moving on and about paying your dues. And can you forgive someone? Can you move on? What do you have to do to be able to move on and go on with your life? Because it's clear again in this book that the dad did forgive and he did move on, and now the daughters are trying to wrap their heads around this as well, and it's all taking part on a ranch. I really enjoyed it, but again, if you think that this topic is too heavy for you, I would say skip this one, but I really did enjoy it. Another book that I read where I'm also like, oh, I want to read the second one is actually by Holly Renee. And this one is called Cowboy Casual, and Holly Renee actually wrote another fantasy trilogy that I really enjoyed as well, and now she's reading a cowboy series, and the first book just came out. This is also available on Kindle Unlimited. I definitely suggest checking this out. This is about a girl. The first chapter of the book, she realizes that she is the daughter of a senator. The first chapter of the book, she gets sent pictures of her fiance, which is the main donor to her dad's campaign, is cheating on her with his assistant, and she confronts him, and then she's just like, peace out, I'm not dealing with this. She runs away from her dad and her now ex-fiance back to her grandmother's house. She lives on a strawberry farm, and the property next to her grandmother's is the ranch where her childhood sweetheart still lives. And the reason she left her hometown is because he broke up with her and told her to leave. And now she comes back, and all of these things are coming back, and this is a second chance romance, and it was very sweet and endearing, and I'm definitely gonna read the second part as well. I really did enjoy it, and I think Holly Renee, again, I like the way she writes feelings. It was very believable. I thought it was super sweet. I also did read the first part, and this is by Elliot Rose, and this is Chasing the Wild. This is very smutty. The first part of the book is basically a woman that she is on the path of becoming a veterinarian, and she needs to do one last job before she gets all the practice that she needs to get a graduation, and she is trying to like cut the ties with this ex-boyfriend of hers once and for all. He is just a problem child, and she has a box of his things, and she's hunting him down to leave this box of his things to cut the ties for forever, because she's over with him, and then she is heading out to do this last like veterinary practice thing. And she ends up meeting his dad, so her ex-boyfriend's dad, and that's what the story is about. The thing is, the plot in this book is pretty good. Like, it's a pretty good plot. I did enjoy the characters, I did enjoy the plot, but there is it's like plot, and then a big chunk of the book in the middle is just smut, and then there's plot. And I really wish that the author would have spent a little bit time to just weave in the plot a little bit more, because it just becomes extremely smut heavy in the middle of the book. And I am excited to see if the second book is the same, because I did enjoy the plot, and I thought the book was entertaining. I just was kind of annoyed with the big chunk of just smut in the middle. So I'm gonna read the second book too and see how I feel. But again, if you are not into reading smut, I definitely would not recommend this book whatsoever. Then let's talk about, I think I have two books where, yes, two books that I read where I was like, you know what? I think I'm good. I read the first book, and I feel like I'm one of those, like, I've seen what I needed to see, immediately know. One of them is Tame the Heart by Ava Hunter. This is a girl with a heart problem. You find that out in the first like chapter of the book. She has a heart problem that she's had her entire life, and she basically has her brother and her father, if I'm not mistaken, that's hovering over her, forcing her to live a life that she doesn't want to live. And she basically just takes off, she runs away from them and goes on a big road trip and says, I'd rather just, live fast, die young than not live at all. That's basically, and again, the premise of the book, there's nothing wrong with that. That's your choice. She runs away, she ends up in a small town, she meets this cowboy, and she gets a position working with him. That's all fine and dandy, but there's a couple of parts in this book where she makes extremely selfish choices, and she basically ends up being kind of a spoiled brat, and I don't like the way that she is acting out in this book, and it ends up with me feeling, this guy's too good for you. Like, you didn't deserve him. Like, he should have dumped you. Like, the way you treated him, it made no sense. So I didn't like how the book ended, because I was like, this isn't believable. I don't like how this ended up. So I kind of like, because of, for me, the lack of moral compass in this book, I kind of decided to, at least not for now, read the second book. And I also felt the same when I was reading Dust Storm. This is by Maggie Gates. Again, there are some questionable choices being made in this book where I'm like, I don't want to know anymore. I've seen what I needed to see. This is about a woman. She is, clearly, again, it's very heavy-handed in this book. Like, the writing is just a little heavy-handed. This is a woman, she is engaged to a guy that's clearly a douchebag, and she's being sent off as punishment for being one of her clients complaining about something she did that wasn't her fault. She's in PR, and she's being sent out on this PR campaign in the middle of nowhere on a ranch as punishment for her client not liking her, because she needs to be out of the spotlight for a bit. And so her fiance basically leaves her on this ranch, says, best of luck with this, I'll talk to you soon, and then he is off, and she's being left on this ranch with this PR thing, marketing thing that they need help with. And of course, this is the love story between her and one of the people on this ranch. It's very cowboy themed. The problem is, both of these people, first of all, chemistry it never entered the chat. I think I described this book when I reviewed it as this is like two baked potatoes trying to get it on. There's just no, I don't believe in the chemistry. And also, there's so much manipulation going on here in this story between all of the characters. You know, sometimes, you know, in a book where it's like, oh, like I mentioned this book, she like falls in love with a guy, he isn't the one, and then she meets someone else. I feel like this story in Dust Storm, it's almost like that first, I don't feel like they're meant to be. I feel like this is the relationship that didn't end up, and then the second book is going to be when they actually find true love, because the premises on how they meet and all the manipulation that is built into this, I just don't feel like this is meant to be. I don't feel like this is true love. I didn't believe in the love, and I didn't believe in the chemistry, and that's why this book just left me feeling, no, I didn't like it. Now, let's talk about some of the books that I have on my wish list for reading on my TBR, and then maybe you can get some inspiration too. One of them is actually a book that I have here with me. In the flesh, I was gonna say, but physical. This is After the Races. This is the first book in the Gold Rush Ranch by Elsie Silver. This is not so much ranchers cowboys as this is a horse. I think they are doing like racehorse, like a racehorse farm. And this, I think, is the series that Elsie Silvers wrote before the other cowboy one. And I haven't read this one yet, but I am really excited. Again, I think this is gonna be small town romance, but with the horse trainer, horse like rancher kind of a spin to it. I also have on my TBR a series that I want to get into, and this is by, I have it on my like, I think this is on Kindle Unlimited, but this is called The Patriot by Hayden Family Series by Jennifer Milliken. Let me see if I can pull it up on Amazon and read what it's supposed to be about. So this is what the prompt says on Amazon. As the oldest sibling, I am expected to take my place as the leader of the Hayden Cattle Company. One outdated rule holds me back. When Dakota Wright arrives to our small town to buy and develop 20 acres of Hayden land, I see more than a stubborn, quick-witted temptation wrapped up in silky strawberry blonde hair. I see the one woman who could change everything for me. We strike two deals, one for the land and one that ties us together in ways neither of us expected. It is a straightforward plan, but there is nothing simple about the way I'm falling for my fiance. And I think, again, I think the plot of this book is that he's only allowed to take over this like cattle company if he is married. So I think this is a marriage of convenience, and I love me a book like that, so I'm very excited to read Cowboy Marriage of Convenience. What is not to love? What is not to love? Is this Kindle Unlimited? Kindle Unlimited. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? The next one that I have in my wish list is Bucket Cowboys by Elle Thorpe. This is also on Kindle Unlimited. Hallie knows how to lose your best friend in one easy step. Offer him your virginity and then watch him reject you. So I think this happens when she's younger, and then this is a second chance romance. Bold riding school and second chance romance. You know I'm all over this. And then I think this might be the last one. This is by Devney Perry. And if you didn't know, Devney Perry is the author of one of my favorite books that I've read this year, top 3 favorite books of 2025, which is Shield of Sparrows. Yes. So this is her like other genre that she's writing, and I'm like, because oh my god, the way that she wrote like the slow burn romance in that one, I am all here for it. So this is a sweeping small town romance about love, loss, and a Montana legacy from USA Today's best-selling author Devney Perry. I met West Haven when I was 8 years old, and they basically had their first kiss together. She leaves this ranch in Montana. She comes back and says, years later, I'm breaking my vow and I'm returning to the ranch, not as a guest, but as its owner. So she comes back to this ranch that I think he works at, and now she's the owner of the ranch. And I think this is going to be like I think there's going to be some hard feelings between it, and it's not easy working side by side and facing those old memories, but the situation is only temporary. We're at a crossroads, and that's what the book is called. I am like so ready to read, like, again, Devney Perry's take on like a little bit of a ranching small town romance. Are you kidding me? I am so ready. And I think that was what I had on my wish list. No, I have one more. This one is called Between the Pines by Amber Palmer. Let me see if I can pull that one up too and we can read about it, because that one I already have downloaded on my Kindle, so that one is probably getting read real soon. This is the first book in the Black Springs Ranch. So again, this is a series where it's a little bit bingeable and you can read more, and I think all 3 of these books are available. And this says Josie Hayes is always on the run from bad decisions, from heartbreak, and from cowboys. Her latest escape was supposed to be a quiet reset at her family's cabin in Tennessee, not a reckless detour at a smoky backwoods bar, and definitely not a collision with Lincoln Carter, blah 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 blah. And oh, okay. This is years back. She is having a one-night stand with this Lincoln Carter, and years later, she comes back again. She has a steady job, a new boyfriend, and her life is finally back on track, and she's ready to prove that she is not the same girl she used to be, except her father's prestigious summer horse training program just brought back a ghost from her past, so they employed this one-night stand. I am, oh my god, I'm excited. I'm so excited about this genre. I'm so excited about all of these books. And like I said, there was just a couple books here where I'm like, this wasn't my favorite. Honestly, it was only 2 books where I'm like, this isn't my favorite. And I hope also I was able to tell you all of these books contain smut. I can tell you that right now. All of these books contain smut. If you avoid smut, none of these books. But also, I hope I was able to tell you which ones are very heavy-handed on the smut if you're trying to at least minimize it, so not the entire book is just about that. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this was inspirational. Maybe you want to try out the genre too, and maybe you'll fall in love with the genre just the way that I did. This is the perfect palette cleanse for me. I'm having a bad day. I'm just gonna kick back with a new cowboy romance. I'll see you in a couple of hours. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please let me know if there's other genres that you would like me to dive into. I'm open for suggestions. Please check back on my back catalog because I do have a couple of videos where I am suggesting quite a lot of books. I did have a video that I was really proud of, which was basically if you just started diving into romantasy, you just read ACOTAR, where do you go next? Because I feel like a lot of people came back to reading by reading ACOTAR, and I was just trying to give some suggestions on what other romantasy books series could be really good to read after that if you're interested. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I will see you real soon in a new bookish video.